Herzlich willkommen zum LitCast
mit Lea
und Lennart.
Und wir reden heute über Obsidian, das Buch von Jennifer L. Armentrout, und vor allen Dingen haben wir ein Interview mit ihr geführt und das werdet ihr dann so nach ungefähr 10-15 Minuten zu hören bekommen.
Genau, ja, ist schon ein bisschen was her, dass wir uns das letzte Mal zusammengesetzt haben. Das war nach der Frankfurter Buchmesse, also noch im letzten Jahr. Uiuiui.
Und jetzt war schon Leipziger, ne? Ai.
Genau, kürzlich war erst Leipzig. Also die Messen, die gehen irgendwie ein aus und ja, und wir sitzen jetzt hier und reden nachträglich noch über Jennifer L. Armentrout.
Genau. Sag mal, das war 2017, wir haben 2018, zweite Messe schon vorbei. Aber ich kann mich noch ganz gut daran erinnern. Ich weiß nicht, wie es bei dir aussieht. Sind die Erinnerungen noch frisch?
Ja, eigentlich schon. Also es ist immer so ein Messetunnel, ne? Man hat so eine Messe immer noch so im Kopf. Man weiß so ein bisschen, das ist passiert und das ist passiert. Man versucht sich noch so ein bisschen dran zu erinnern. Aber es gibt immer so Versatzstücke von Messen, die bleiben für immer im Kopf. Ist das bei dir auch so?
Ja, so bestimmte Momente. Aber ich glaube, bei mir ist das auch noch so ein bisschen frisch irgendwie mit der Frankfurter Buchmesse und auch dem Interview, weil ich ja gar nicht in Leipzig war, leider.
Oh, das wusste ich gar nicht.
Nö.
Wie kam's?
Man hat mich vom Verlag nicht gelassen. Nee, ist
so,
einfach
okay.
irgendwie nur die ausgewählten, nur die guten Azubis haben sich hingeschickt.
Nur die tollen durften gehen, ja.
Genau, nee, das war einfach irgendwie was eine mega stressige Zeit so und dann dachte ich, Leipzig, dann lasse ich das mal ausfallen, aber in Frankfurt bin ich auf jeden Fall wieder mit dabei. Das heißt, die nächste Folge wird dann wahrscheinlich Frankfurter Buchmesse sein.
Na, das hoffen wir nicht, dass sich das noch so verzögert. Ja, lass uns doch mal zurück zu Jennifer L. Armentrout gehen. Also bei uns war das ja auch so mega krass, weil wir kamen an dem Sonntagabends von der Messe und montags morgens saßen wir direkt beim Interview. Also ich weiß noch, wie ultra stressig das irgendwie war und vor allem, wir waren ja in Frankfurt und dann wieder in Köln und ich hatte immer noch das Gefühl, wir wären in Frankfurt und ich würde morgens zur Messe gehen.
Und vor allen Dingen war das auch so krass, weil wir ja die erste Folge vorher aufgenommen haben vor dem Interview und
genau.
Das irgendwie alles mega stressig war mit dem Mikro, dann sind wir noch ins Tonstudio, hatten da irgendwie so einen, 45-Minuten-Slot und sind danach wirklich aus dem Studio gestürmt, haben die Zettel hochgeworfen, sind rausgerannt und sind dann direkt zum Interview. Also das war schon,
richtig
schon
High Life.
Krass. Ja, da war sehr, sehr viel High Life und dann dazwischen mussten wir uns erstmal erholen. Mussten wir uns ein halbes Jahr erholen, so ein bisschen runterkommen, irgendwie alles verarbeiten und jetzt sind wir wieder da.
Genau, man kann ja nicht gleich völlig übertreiben und alles raushauen, was man hat, ne? Man muss ja auch erstmal ein bisschen sacken lassen.
Genau. Ja, wie findest du denn das Buch von Jennifer L. Armentrout? Obsidian hast du gelesen, ne?
Genau, also lustigerweise habe ich echt nur Obsidian gelesen und auch mehr so als Vorbereitung auf unser Interview. Also ich habe zu dem Zeitpunkt, als die Bücher rausgekommen sind von ihr, das irgendwie gar nicht so richtig mitbekommen. Ich glaube, da war ich schon aus dem Alter irgendwie raus, wo man so Twilight-artige Bücher gelesen hat, um das jetzt mal ganz arg runterzubrechen. Und von daher, aber man hat das irgendwie immer mitbekommen in den Medien und ich fand gerade so unter den Buchbloggern war Jennifer L. Armentrout ja immer auch ein großer Name. Ja, und ich habe mir dann gedacht, ja cool, wenn wir jetzt die Chance haben, mit ihr mal zu quatschen, dann schauen wir doch mal rein, was sie da so geschrieben hat. Und bei dir war es relativ ähnlich.
Genau, bei mir war es relativ ähnlich. Ich habe auch nur den ersten Band gelesen und bei mir lag es aber am Cover. Ich fand, obwohl ich jetzt da nicht so ganz die Zielgruppe bin, aber ich fand tatsächlich das Cover einfach sehr, sehr schön gestaltet. So. Also es ist nichts, was ich mir jetzt so groß aufhängen würde, weil es natürlich schon eher feminin aussieht, sag ich mal so vorsichtig. Aber ich fand es trotzdem sehr, sehr schön gestaltet. Irgendwie fühlt sich gut an, das Buch. Deswegen, habe ich das dann angefangen zu lesen. Und es wurde, glaube ich, bei irgendeinem Blogger-Event auf der Buchmesse vorgestellt. Und da war eben so das erste Argument, was kam vom Verlag, die Hauptfigur ist auch Buchbloggerin. Und da dachte ich so, das ist mal eine gute Idee. Da haben die schon mal alle Buchblogger im Boot, das ist clever. Und dann habe ich mir das eben durchgelesen, das ganze Buch. Und ich muss ganz ehrlich sagen, ich glaube, es ist auch Thema im Interview, es hat mich schon sehr von der Struktur beim ersten Band, ich habe gehört, dass bei der anderen Band nicht so an Twilight erinnert.
Ja, total. Also auch nochmal gerade, um auf dieses Buchblogger-Thema zurückzukommen, ich habe das auch tatsächlich oft mitbekommen, weil es gab immer so Memes, die man machen konnte, von wegen, welcher fiktive Charakter erinnert dich an mich? Und da haben mir eben ganz oft die Leute gesagt, ja, du bist genau wie die Buchbloggerin aus Obsidian, wo ich mir dann dachte, ja gut, schön, dass unsere einzige Gemeinsamkeit Buchbloggen ist, aber danke. Ja, Twilight. Ganz ehrlich, also ich hatte auch den Eindruck, als wäre es eben Twilight nur nicht mit Vampiren, sondern mit Aliens, aber doch auf eine bessere Art und Weise und vor allem auch nicht so sexuell fragwürdig.
Oh, ja. An Twilight kann ich mich auch nicht mehr so gut erinnern. Ich fand, das Buch war nicht so wirklich gut geschrieben. Ich fand aber den ersten Film habe ich gesehen. Irgendwann, das war auf so einer irgendwie, genau, ja, das war irgendwie von der Schule aus irgendwie so eine Übernachtung. Und die Jungs haben alle Transformers geguckt und die Mädchen alle Twilight. Und dann habe ich gesagt, ja,
ich gucke Twilight.
Ja, ich setze mich zu den Mädchen, vielleicht ist das
cleverer. Ja,
genau. Und du guckst Twilight mit denen. Und ich weiß nicht, ich fand den ersten Film eigentlich ganz cool. Das war irgendwie so ein okayer Highschool-Film mit Vampiren.
Ja, ne?
Und den Rest fand ich, da habe ich, glaube ich, den zweiten gesehen, fand den nur furchtbar. Aber gut, da bin ich auch überhaupt gar nicht die Zielgruppe. Aber man muss sagen, bei Obsidian, das ließ sich so locker leicht runterlesen. Also ich glaube, ich habe das in 2 Tagen oder so gelesen.
Absolut.
Ja.
Ich fand nämlich auch, das ging so gut in einem Rutsch durch und Jennifer Armentrout, die hat es einfach drauf, den Leser so richtig anzuziehen, ne? Auch wenn man jetzt vielleicht den Plot nicht so gut findet, das schon irgendwie 1000-mal gelesen hat, gefühlt. Die hat was Faszinierendes an sich. Die kann einfach schreiben. Die kann schreiben.
Das Buch hat so eine Sogwirkung irgendwie. Also,
ja, total.
Obwohl ich echt die ganze Zeit dachte so, ja, okay, das erinnert mich schon ein bisschen daran, aber irgendwie wollte ich es trotzdem weiterlesen. Also, ich muss ja echt sagen, ich bin ja, also genau das Gegenteil der Zielgruppe eigentlich, aber ja, aber trotzdem, irgendwie fand ich es ganz gut. Hat mir echt gut gefallen und ich fand sie auch sehr, sehr sympathisch, wie sie da auftrat irgendwie.
Absolut. Also sie war ja total locker. Erstmal kam sie so halb im Pyjama. Fand ich schon mal super. Und sie hatte ja auch gesagt, ja, sie ist so müde und irgendwie voll kaputt von der Messe und wir waren alle so ein bisschen im Eimer. Da war es dann doch ganz nett, so zu wissen, auch die Autorinnen und Autoren sind normale Menschen und die sind auch müde von der Messe.
Und ich fand auch sehr, sehr schön, dass dann irgendwann unser Interview abdriftete, so in Richtung Nerd-Talk irgendwie, wenn es dann um Harry Potter ging oder so. Also da war man schon so ein bisschen so, was das Fandom Harry Potter anging, auf jeden Fall so auf einer Wellenlänge. Das war echt ganz cool, da so mit ihr zu reden. Deswegen finde ich, ist da auch so ein ganz natürliches Gespräch dann entstanden. Das hat mich sehr gefreut, weil klar, sie ist so eine riesen Autorin und dann befürchtet man immer so ein bisschen, so wie sind die so drauf? Sind die so ein bisschen arrogant? Sind die so ein bisschen Typ Nicholas Sparks, der einfach mal eine Signierstunde abbricht? Aber
ja, genau. Ich finde auch, wenn man so den Namen hört, Jennifer Armentrout, das ist ja, ne? Also es kommt an Stephanie Meyer schon ziemlich nah dran vom Namen her und vom Bekanntheitsgrad. Ja. Und dann denkst du schon erstmal, wie ist die drauf? Und nachher wird es so stocksteif, aber überhaupt nicht. Ich hatte auch irgendwie nach 5 Minuten schon den Eindruck, man kennt sich ewig und man macht ja einfach ein bisschen Nerd-Talk zusammen.
Ja, die war einfach super locker, so hat sich auf uns eingelassen irgendwie und uns am Ende auch umarmt, noch ein Foto gemacht. Also ja, echt eine super coole Frau. Da kriegt man eigentlich echt Lust, nochmal die Bücher nochmal zu lesen oder überhaupt mal zu lesen.
Überhaupt mal weiterzulesen.
Genau. Und am Abend, können wir auch noch mal kurz erzählen, waren wir dann bei der Lesung mit Jennifer Armentrout. Und wir haben
das
dann
ist irgendwann schon so weit weg.
Irgendwann haben wir angefangen zu zählen, wie oft die Moderatorin Bad Boys sagt. Und
ja,
sexy.
Genau. Oh ja. Das stimmt. Das war irgendwie ein bisschen übertrieben auf ein weibliches Publikum zugeschnitten, die Moderation. Aber ich meine,
ich bin immer tiefer im Sitz versunken.
Ja, du warst auch irgendwie einer von 3 männlichen Gästen.
Wesen.
Das war schon sehr witzig. Also man hat durchaus gemerkt, dass die Zielgruppe doch eher junge Frauen im Alter von 13 bis 20, ne?
Ja. Ja,
und
aber genau, es waren dann noch irgendwie 3 Bücher, die besprochen wurden, die dann so in einem Abend gequetscht wurden. Aber also das Ding war echt, sie war echt cool drauf, aber die Moderatorin hat uns beide nicht so gefallen, können wir auch einfach mal ganz offen sagen.
Ja, das hätte durchaus irgendwie ein bisschen lockerer sein können und nicht so versteift. Ja. Also es war auch, wie gesagt, ein bisschen schade, dass man da so einen Counter anmachen musste, wie oft jetzt irgendwelche sexualisierten Wörter gefallen sind.
Ja, irgendwann, es war einfach so ein, wir beide saßen einfach konstant die Augen verdrehend da und haben gezählt, okay, es war jetzt das 20. Mal Bad Boys, jo, er ist verdammt sexy, er ist ein Bad Boy, okay, ja, wir haben's, ist gut.
Ja.
Aber was dafür ziemlich cool war nach der Lesung, war da so eine riesen Schlange bei Jennifer Armentrout und dadurch, dass wir das Interview vorher hatten, konnten wir uns auch so kurz sehr, sehr wichtig fühlen, weil wir einfach mit ihr noch im Gespräch so ein bisschen an denen vorbeigegangen sind, hatten unsere Autogramme schon eingesagt, das war einfach sehr cool.
Ja, das war witzig. Wir sind direkt nach der Lesung runtergegangen und Jennifer kam dann mit ihrer Freundin auch direkt so auf uns zu. So, cool, dass ihr da seid, schön. Und dann hatten die, da erinnere ich mich noch dran, die hatten salziges Popcorn dabei und wollten uns dann die ganze Zeit mit diesem Popcorn füttern.
Ja, genau.
Ein wenig absurd, aber sehr schön.
Surreal, aber schön.
Mhm. Und es gab ja auch noch diese Goodie-Bags an dem Abend. Weißt du das noch? Da war doch so eine Handcreme war da drin, eine Kerze. Erinnerst du dich noch?
Ja, habe ich irgendwie schon wieder verdrängt. Aber das ist ja echt immer so dieses Ding bei solchen Events, dass es einfach klar auf die weibliche Zielgruppe ausgerichtet ist. Ich meine, das hatten wir ja schon in der ersten Folge, können wir nochmal, also falls ihr die noch nicht gehört habt, gerne anhören. Da ging es um das John Green Fan-Event zu Margot Spuren und da gab es auch irgendwie so eine Tasche.
Ja, genau, die Schminke.
Genau, habe ich ihr alles einfach gegeben und ich habe einmal dieses komische Tanktop angezogen, hatte ich ja schon erzählt. Und dann aus Gag und dann peinlich berührt meiner Schwester geschenkt.
Ja, ist immer ein bisschen schade, ne? Man kann doch auch irgendwie vielleicht so ein paar Goodies reinpacken, die eben nicht irgendwie Schminke sein müssen oder so, ne? Naja.
Also bei John Green finde ich das schon, aber ich meine, bei Jennifer Armentrout fand ich das völlig okay.
Es passt halt, ne? Die Marketingstrategie ist aufgegangen, sagen wir es mal so.
Ja, und dann würde ich mal sagen, wenn du nicht noch was zu erzählen hast, dann hören wir rein, oder?
Nö. Ich habe nichts zu erzählen, niemals.
Gar nichts.
Ja, dann wünschen wir euch jetzt viel Spaß mit dem Interview mit Jennifer Armentrout und ja.
Ja, wir hören uns später noch. So yes, we have Jennifer Armentrout here today, and first of all, we want to talk about the book fair you just came from. Can you say how the experience was for you?
The experience at Frankfurt Book Fair was pretty amazing. We have something similar in the States called Book Expo of America, which is known as BEA. It's a very big convention. However, the Frankfurt Book Fair was double, triple, probably the size of that. Oh, yes. It's even the buildings. You guys have multiple halls. BEA is only in one building, one floor.
Oh, I didn't
so
know
everything
that.
is crammed in. It was amazing to see all the stuff, and also like all the readers who came out. It was very surprising. I'm a very impatient person, so I couldn't imagine sitting in those lines. I would have been like, nope. I'll just peace out.
No. Did you have the chance to see other halls?
We did go into the international hall, but that was all. But at one point between our signing, Stephanie and I went out into the, I guess, like the courtyard area to get something to eat, and we ended up sitting down in the middle, I guess, of what was their their cosplay.
Yeah, the cosplay corner.
Yeah, so we saw some of the most amazing costumes because we were like the only people dressed with, the cosplay out there. But it was, I mean, some of those cosplay outfits were, I mean, knowing that these people hand make them is just crazy talented.
It's really crazy. I'm a cosplayer too, so I know how much effort it takes to
What
make.
do you
a lot of stuff. Katniss from the Hunger Games, and a lot of Harry Potter stuff, Luna Lovegood, and Scorpius Malfoy too.
Yeah.
More like the book and movie and
thing,
series stuff. And sometimes Disney characters too.
There was an amazing Beauty and the Beast set out there. I mean, they were just it would have knocked you on your feet. Like, you would have thought this Disney had designed those cosplay outfits.
Have you ever seen a cosplay from your books?
Yes, I've had people come dressed as sentinels. I've had, and I'm so unobservant sometimes. Like, it'll take me like an hour of seeing them and be like, "Are you dressed as a sentinel?" and then I'll have people who kind of come dressed as Cat with the "My blog is better than yours."
I saw a few of those pictures on Instagram.
And so, I mean, I think with my books, for the most of them, since even most of the fantasy or the paranormal are rooted in contemporary times, there isn't a lot that they can dress as.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's like it's the sentinels I see a lot of.
Are there a difference between German and American fans? Did you notice something?
I will say that I think the German fans were so excited, and I think they're so excited. I think a lot of it comes from, because when you are from the States, you don't get to come over here often.
Yes.
And I mean, it's a massive planning thing between all the publishers. It takes, we started planning this trip probably, I think, in 2016. And that's how long it takes just to make sure all the publishers are on the same page, work out the schedules, where you're going to go, how much can you do. But they were very excited. I think the only thing that I noticed, that a lot of my German readers over here were a lot younger than my U.S. readers. I have some younger ones, but there were some ones that were really young, and which I love seeing that, because I'm like, oh.
Do you have an idea where this maybe comes from?
I think it's just a distribution over here. I think because in Germany, and if I'm wrong, someone can shoot me a look that says no, but I think in Germany, paperback or print is still way more popular than digital. So bookstores are probably doing significantly better than they are in the United States. In the US, it's digital now, and teens do not have a method of payment for digital books, because you have to have a credit card. So unless their parents are letting them create a credit card, I figure at some point Amazon will figure out a way around this, and when they do, it will probably collapse the publishing industry in America. But it's I think print books are just so much more available here. They are really available in the US, but everybody's fighting over very small shelf space. And so you will have only 2 to 3 copies of your book per store, where I think in here you can get a nice significant shelf space.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of the German distribution, what do you think about the Obsidian cover here in Germany?
Oh, they are my favorite covers of the Lux series, and I'm not saying that because I'm in Germany, but they are one of my favorites. They are just amazing.
It's so beautiful.
So beautiful. And the hardcover, it took me forever to realize, and I didn't. It was actually Instagram. I kept seeing these all white books with these really pretty spines tagging me on Instagram, and I'm like, what country is this? And then I realized, wait a minute, I went into my room where I have the foreign copies and pulled the jacket off of the hardcover, and it was the Lux series underneath that. And they're stunning. All the German covers of all my publishers have done an amazing job.
So we are talking a lot about your fans right now. You also got a fan book on Saturday, and this was such a nice thing, because everyone was going there, taking photos and writing stuff into that book. But what was the most crazy fan gift you ever got?
The memory book was amazing. I finally got a chance to look through it, because it had been given to somebody else as they were finishing it. And I finally got a chance to look through it today on the train, and it was just I was taking pictures. I'm sure, I don't know if you guys saw, I was posting pictures of it. The strangest gift. So this is not really strange, but people are very observant online, and they pay attention to certain things you like. So I have a thing for owls. I like owls, and I like llamas. I've actually never seen a llama in real life. I've seen them from afar, and everyone's like, you need to go see a llama. And I'm like, no, they're actually really mean, and they spit at you, and I don't want them to ruin my cute llama love of them.
Imagination.
Yeah, so I'll just keep a safe distance from them. So people send me and bring to me a lot of owl stuff and llamas.
But not real ones.
Not real ones. Oh my God, but that'd be so cool if they came in with this owl on their shoulder. I'd be like,
this is for you.
You're amazing. I don't think I can get this through customs though. So a lot of people bring them in my office, and I have pictures online in my office. On my bookshelf, there's things called Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I have only ever bought one of those Funko Pops. Every single one of them are brought to signings from readers, and they're almost always The Walking Dead or Supernatural or the Game of Thrones Funko Pops that people bring me. So, I mean, a weird gift. I mean, I think so far, like I said, everything has been kind of like, you could tell these people are really paying attention to you and they know what you like.
Yeah.
So I haven't had anything that was kind of like, what in the world
what is this? So you're also a hardcore fangirl?
Yes. I have yet to make it to a supernatural convention.
Oh.
I don't think I could do it because I grew up watching that show. So I think I would just like hyperventilate and just start crying.
Who's your favorite character from Supernatural?
It's a tie between Dean Winchester and Castiel.
Oh, me too. Yeah. I can feel you. I can totally
and
feel you.
And those two together are just so perfect. And the funny thing is a lot of people don't realize this, but Castiel and Dean Winchester's relationship is who I modeled Seth and Apollo's relationship after. And if you notice in the return, when Apollo keeps appearing directly behind him, if you remember in the earlier seasons of Supernatural, Castiel would always appear directly behind Dean or Sam when they were talking about him. And they would always be like, he's right behind me, isn't he? And they'd be like, yes.
I think I saw you with a Harry Potter shirt some days ago. So you're also a Harry Potter fan.
I was a little late. Well, I guess it wasn't late. I mean, because I was older as the books started coming out. So I hadn't read them, and I didn't want to read them when I first came out because I was like, these are middle grade books. I'm like, I'm not going to want to read this. I'm like, whatever. And then I was at the gym one day, and they were playing the third movie. Yeah. And I got so, like, I'm on my elliptical for like an hour and a half, like never getting off. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And then I was like, okay. And the funny thing is where I worked, one of my coworkers was reading it, and I always would like make fun of her because I was reading adult stuff, and I'm like, look at you and your Harry Potter. And she's like, it's amazing. So I immediately when I stand at work next day, I'm like, I saw one of these Harry Potter movies. I'm like, what are the books? Like, what do I need to read? And so then I went and I started reading. But the greatest thing is I had all the books were out except for Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows. So I was able to go, and then at that point, I think Order of Phoenix movie was just coming out. Yeah. So I kind of came in midway. So I wasn't like some of the other people who had to wait like a year to each one. And
it's perfect time.
But then I was like, I eat my words. This is amazing.
What's your favorite Harry Potter book?
Oh gosh, I would have to say probably Goblet of Fire.
Yes, really, it's mine.
Really awesome. Yes, that one.
Half-Blood Prince.
Half-Blood Prince. That's a good one too. Yeah. I like Half-Blood Prince too because I like Ginny, and so I was like, oh, I like they're gonna kiss. Yeah. But Order of the Phoenix probably was my least favorite. Order of my Phoenix was my favorite and one of my favorites and one of my least favorites because I kept wanting to like. I also wanted to throat punch Harry in the Goblet of Fire sometimes because I'm like, Harry, get yourself together. I know you're a kid, but I don't care.
But that's always
pull it together,
Harry. Yeah, everyone is like, Harry.
Harry, you're getting people killed again, Harry.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because I think Harry is the least favorite character in Harry Potter.
Umbridge. I think Umbridge is
Umbridge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
But sometimes, a lot of people don't say Harry Potter is my favorite character.
No, I mean, but that's I think as a writer that is a testament to someone's skills. Because Harry could be very unlikable at times, and especially when he was isolating himself from everyone, and like Order of the Phoenix is kind of like the emo Harry movie where he's just like depressed off in his little corner, and but his reactions are realistic though, like you know what I mean, like everything he was going through, and you have to remind yourself as an adult reading it, it's like this is a teenager. Could you imagine if you were that age in some situation like that where your family doesn't like you, you have to live in a closet. So I mean, and you have a really crazy sorcerer after you, or witch. Sorry.
But Goblet of Fire, I thought it was something like a mixture of thriller, fantasy, love story, teenage. Yeah. So it was
a great transition in the series. And I think that's the amazing thing about the Harry Potter series and about J.K. Rowling too, is she knew to transition the middle grade to YA. You know what I mean? Like it's like the feelings they were dealing with. It was just such an amazing. It's one of the few books except maybe Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
It has the same, like long running, able to cross those multiple age differences.
Now we talked a lot about us as fans of Harry Potter books, but talking about your fan base, you have a really big fan base now. Does that make it easier or more difficult for you to write books?
I think it actually makes it more difficult. Yeah. And the reason being is because you get more voices in your head. Yeah. And even though I don't read reviews, you cannot escape what people feel. Even when people aren't trying to be mean, they sometimes will just tweet you and be like, they'll compliment you, and then the next tweet is like, they'll be like, I love your books, and then you're like, well, I'm not expanding that thread today. But it's you can't escape what people think, and either they're tweeting it to you. I think Instagram so far is like the safe place. Yeah, you don't get a lot of that. But Facebooking, they're direct messaging you, they're emailing you, whether they love it, whether they're ambivalent of it, or whether they hate it. And so, but even when they love it, the expectation becomes so much pressure because you don't want to let them down. And I think the hardest thing is to write a last book in a series. Oh, yeah. Because you want to make sure that it was satisfying, that they went this whole time, and are they happy at the end, kind of thing.
So do you still write for yourself, or do you more write for your fans when you're doing a scene? And then you have like two opportunities. Do I write this? The fans will be really satisfied with this, or do you think, no, I'm doing it this way because this is how it is in my head, and even if the readers are not satisfied with it, I'm okay with it?
I write first for myself because I write to entertain myself, and if I'm not liking what I'm writing, you're not going to want to read it. But I do keep my fans in mind. There's certain things I will never do. I will never kill a main character off. I know my fans, when I say main character, I don't mean I mean the protagonist. Because I feel like because what happens is you kind of, it's weird, but the best way to describe it is you may betray your readers in the sense they've come to expect something from you, and that's why they read you. It's because they know they're going to cry, they know they're going to be mad, they know they're going to be, but at the end they're going to be like, okay, it all worked out. And I think sometimes when you betray that trust, you can lose a lot of readers that way because they no longer trust what you will write. But my readers know that, sometimes I will break their hearts a little bit with certain things.
But that's the thing we love the most.
Yeah. Because I'm like, it's like you have to trust the author. Like, in the end, we will get you there. But so I do keep them in mind when I write certain things.
So now you've met very, very much fans in a few days, like hundreds of fans.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In a few days, you're going to sit alone today and write maybe the next novel. So how is... this difference between these extreme things for you?
It's so weird. Sometimes when I do events and I'll be in one part of the United States, or even when I was in London last year in Scotland, and it's like you leave Scotland in the morning, and in the afternoon you're in West Virginia, and you're just like, this is so crazy. Weird. And then you're like walking around like nobody cares. Like, it's weird. It's really weird because when you're a writer, you're almost only recognized at book events, unless you are a very visible household name like Stephen King. I mean, there's even huge authors like Nora Roberts that people probably would not be able to recognize, like Dan Brown. You probably would not be able to pick him out in a crowd, but you know that name. So you go from people like not able to speak around you, crying, freaking out, to being at home and being like, I'm going to eat a Lunchable for dinner. Yeah. And I got to take my dog out. Like, it is weird. And it takes like about a day to really adjust to be able to even sit down and start working. So like I go home on the 25th. So I would be lucky if on the 26th I'll be able to start writing.
It's over and then you can just relax or maybe not relax because
no, I have a book due. I have edits to do and then a book to write.
About writing, and you're writing a lot. Yeah. And at the book fair, we've heard that you wrote Obsidian in 7 days.
7 days, yes.
This is crazy.
It was crazy. I wrote Obsidian in 7 days, and I ended up having to rewrite 50% of it in afterwards because I wrote it in 7 days.
Sleep for 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. It was, but the thing was I was telling another person this. The thing that was so funny is I wrote 60% of that book, and I had no idea what the Luxons look like. when in their true form. So I kept picturing the giant insects from Independence Day, and I was like, that is just not attractive. That's not going to work. So I wrote that book in 7 days, and Wait For You was probably my second fastest book. I wrote that in 21 days, and Deadly Ever After, which is known as Till Death in U.S., I wrote that, I think, in 32 days. Actually, no, I think that took longer because suspense always takes me longer to write because you just can't wing it. You know, like you can wing some paranormals, and you can sometimes wing contemporary romance.
And you have to organize more.
Yeah, suspense is like you have to. It's like one of Stephen King's writing books that I read where he said you need to treat every chapter as a mini cliffhanger when you write suspense or horror, because you don't want that person to find a place where they feel like they can stop in the book. You want them to keep turning the page. Yep. In suspense, you have to keep that suspense up. And it's hard because even though like in Deadly Ever After you have, you know, Sasha getting reacclimated to being home, helping her mom and stuff like that, but at the same time all this other stuff is happening. And so you have to find that mix of how a person can continue their life at the same time they're like, I legit think there's a serial killer here right now. We should be concerned. So those books take longer for me to write.
Do you like to write suspense more or romantic stories?
Yeah, it's easier to write just what I call straight romance, which nothing's happening other than the romance. Right? There's nothing really going on.
No vampires.
No vampires, no serial killers, no missing body parts. But no, actually, believe it or not, I like to write suspense more. Yeah. And that's why if you read some of my adult contemporary, like Stay With Me, Fall With Me, just has suspenseful undertones, because sometimes I get bored just writing romance, you know, because it's not that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I think I've written so many romance books that now I'm like, okay, I have to write something different.
It's more like a challenge.
Yeah, a challenge,
right?
yeah. And it's kind of like, you know, it just makes, I think it makes the reader also keep reading for other reasons too, like beyond the romance climax.
And do you have the whole plot figured out when you start writing?
On suspense, I do.
Yeah.
On the suspense, I don't plot a lot, even on suspense. But on suspense, I do have more of a plot written out. On everything else, pretty much no. What they call pantser. I just have a general idea of how the book is going to start and end, and then I just let the story go there. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you scrape 80-some thousand words and you have to start over because you just wrote yourself into a corner. And
you're also writing a lot of short stories. Are you into fan fiction also?
I haven't I've actually never written a fan fiction. I wish fan fiction was a thing when I was younger, because that would have been amazing, because I could have done, you know, Vampire Diaries when it originally came out, you know, in the 90s and things like that. But I do like writing short stories just as bonus scenes for readers, because I think it's, especially when you have a series that's ended, it's still, you know, it's keeping those characters alive for the readers, that, you know, this is what they're doing now, you know, and so I think they like that.
And do you also read fan fictions of your own books?
Oh my gosh, no. I did once, and I just couldn't do it.
Sometimes it's really
sometimes it's sometimes they're really good, and I'm like, well, shit, you should have just wrote this book because you did a better job than me.
50-50, right?
Yeah, right. Sometimes I'm like, you did a better job than I could have done writing this. And sometimes it's amazing. Like especially when I read some of the Lux and the Covenant ones, they've got the tone of the characters down perfectly. Like you would have thought I wrote that if you didn't know any better. And then some of them are kind of like, you know, they're a little embarrassing. I mean, not that they're bad, but they next level it up.
I totally know what you mean.
But I haven't read any in a long time. Just because also you don't want to read something and realize that you have that same idea, and then you feel like you can't do it because you now have read that someone's done it.
But do you read books from other authors from the same genre?
I don't when I'm working. So if I'm writing paranormal and fantasy, then I read contemporary. And if I'm writing contemporary, I read paranormal and fantasy. Because I think a lot of writers have this horrible, I mean, it's not a horrible habit, but it's something you just do. You end up picking up the tone of the book you're reading or the voice of the book you're reading. And if you're not careful, it can creep into your own writing style. And so one of the things I do is I try to flip what I'm reading versus what I'm writing.
And do you have a favorite book or book series or author?
My favorite author is L.J. Smith. And the reason why is because she was the first author that I read when I was 13 years old that made me want to become an author. Yeah. And she's the one who wrote The Vampire Diaries, The Secret Circle. Now I have so many favorite authors like Sarah J. Maas, J.R. Ward, Wendy Higgins, Bridget Kimmerer. I mean, the list could go on and on. Yeah. You know, some of them I've become very good friends with. Some of them I get in front of and I'm just like,
this was my next question. So it's really strange to read a book and then you get to know the author and then you get friends with them. Yeah. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there are authors now that I'm friends with that I had read before I became an author. And it's so weird. It's so weird. But the interesting thing is once you become friends, it's like you don't even talk about books. Like Sarah J. Maas and I met in New Orleans several years ago, and then we kept kind of crossing paths and we ended up becoming pretty good friends. But we don't talk about books. We just don't. I mean, the thing is though, she will sometimes send me like her stuff to read ahead of time, which makes me really like want to like tell everyone I have it because I'm like, cause I know people get like really upset and be like, why? But we'll talk about the industry and sometimes like she'll tell me like new things or something like with Sarah, with Wendy. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, but you just don't talk about books. You know what I mean? Like but I think the most thing we talk about if we were talking about anything related to, it's like industry stuff. Like, you know.
But are there family members or friends who help you with your books?
No. You know, only my mom was a big reader. And she had passed away several years ago. She was the only one in my family who was really a reader. Everyone else is, they're obviously very proud of it and they're whatever, but they have, like my husband for the longest time thought I wrote about vampires for some reason. And so he's a police officer. And it was another police officer that told him what I was writing about, which I was like, I have so many questions like about this.
What are you doing?
I'm like, first off, how did you think that? And number two, how did you know the truth? But it's, you know, I'm not, West Virginia, I'll say there's pockets of a lot of readers, but then there isn't. So it's not a big thing there. But I mean, again, they're very supportive and very happy for me and stuff like that.
So you finish your book before you send it to the publisher?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I will sell a book when you sell it on an idea, like like you just sell it on a proposal.
A pitch,
yeah. So sometimes I'll sell it on just a paragraph, and because I worked with that publisher before, they're like, she'll pull it together. Yeah. You know, and then sometimes when it's a bigger thing, I'll write a partial or the full-length manuscript if it's something brand new. For the spin-off of the Lux series, I wrote a partial for them to read because we knew that there was going to be people who hadn't read the Lux series, and we just couldn't send them this crazy synopsis about aliens being assimilated into schools and them not being like what. So, but like a lot of my contemporary stuff, I've just sold it on like a proposal. Till Death Deadly Ever After required a really detailed synopsis because again, it's suspense. They want to make sure that you can pull this off.
Yeah, a question you might always get: how far is that movie discussion?
So Obsidian was optioned for film. They have made it into the screenwriting stage. I have actually read one of the screenplays or the scripts. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty funny, but they were worried that it was too masculine because the screenwriter was a male. Because with Damon's character, you know, he's a jerk, but I wrote him as a female perspective of a jerk.
Yeah, that's right.
He wrote him as a male perspective of jerk, which leveled that jerkness up to, I personally found it hilarious. I mean, the things they had him saying, I was like, you better find someone so attractive for this actor that he can get away with this because I would have punched that person. Yeah. But we don't know really. I think it's stalling out a little bit in the script stages. So we may end up having rights revert back to us, which might be a good thing because sometimes those things stall out, and what it is you need someone else to come in and acquire it. The Wicked series, which I was talking to HarperCollins and making, because you know, we definitely want to get, that's not translated over here yet, and a lot of the readers are like, when is that book coming? I mean, oh my god, like every other person at this convention was like, why why isn't Wiccan over here? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just like the Titan series. I don't know why. But I think there was some weird communication because they thought it had vampires in it. I'm like, I have never written vampires. I'm like, but it doesn't. It has fae in it, and it takes place in New Orleans. It's very whatever. But that has actually been optioned for a company called Passionflix, which is like Netflix for romance. So they do all the romance books. So they are they're planning to go into filming early next, like March, April-ish, and airing in October around Halloween. That's in the works too. So
do you have a dream cast for Kat, maybe?
Oh gosh,
an actress that you would
no,
love
I don't really know who would be a good choice. I'm so disconnected from like the younger. I'm still stuck in like 16 Candles and Jake Ryan, who is so attractive but so old now that that's who I picture.
That's the thing.
Maybe with a little bit of CGI.
Yeah, like let's age him down. I'm always like Theo James. Every time someone's like, who do you think can play this character? I'm like, Theo James.
Yeah.
And then they'll say a girl's character, I'm like, Theo James.
Okay, maybe
just a whole movie of Theo James making out with Theo James.
I love to see that. I love to see that.
I'm not sure about it.
You're like, this just got weird. But for Damon, somebody actually suggested an actor once, and they photoshopped green eyes into him. And I was like, it was shocking. It's Matthew. Oh my God, I can't say his last name.
Matthew Daddario?
Yes, from some Mortal Instruments. Yes, he plays Alec Lightwood. So I mean, I would be open to anyone as long as they could act.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I'm a little bit under the impression that we don't have a really trend in here since Twilight. It was first Harry Potter, then Twilight, and now it's...
Well, in America, it was basically Twilight and Harry Potter. I think is just the exception. It just doesn't fall into anything. You know what I mean? Like it's just across the board. Like everybody was watching or reading it, and then it became dystopian, Hunger Games, Divergent.
That's right.
Then it was cyclit or contemporary, or let's just say it, John Green books.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, we want a book like John Green. Now it's fantasy. But it's still also contemporary. But no books have broken out to the level like Divergent. So that was the last one in our country. I think The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas,
really big thing.
It is selling buku books, and I think once that movie comes out, I think it's going to.
Will boom, totally.
But you know, and the great thing about that is that's a book I think, especially in America, it needs to be required reading.
Yes.
With everything we're dealing with over there, it's a very eye-opening from both sides of the book. And you know, this is amazing when you think about Angie and how young she is. You're just like, oh my gosh, you're just amazing. But I think The Hate U Give is going to be the next one once the movie comes out. Because it is kind of the next big thing right now, but even though that book is so successful, but when you have a successful movie attached to it, it's just like mind-boggling what those book sales rack it up to. I think it's starting to turn back to paranormal. Because it's all a circle that it runs in.
Yeah, I think we're coming to an end now. Can you tell us about your future projects, maybe a bit?
Well, I am currently working on The Prophecy, which is the final book in the Titan series. And I believe The Struggle is coming out here in Germany in December. And then Retribution, which is the Lux series spinoff, that's coming out in October of 2018. Moonlit Sins, which is a new adult suspense, kinda, that's coming out in January in the US. I think my German publisher is looking at one of my other suspense novels to come over. Yeah, there's a lot coming. There's a lot of books coming and still being sold and published and stuff like that. So
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
For talking about some fangirl moments of writing and fans.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ja, das war jetzt auch unser Interview mit Jennifer L. Armentrout. Wir hoffen, ihr hattet Spaß beim Lauschen und beim Schmunzeln und konntet auch ein bisschen in unseren Fanboy-Fangirl-Talk einsteigen.
Genau, und erzählt uns doch einfach mal, ob ihr die Bücher von ihr auch gelesen habt, wie ihr sie fandet, ob es so Twilight-mäßig bleibt, wie uns das beim ersten Band vorgekommen ist. Ja, und empfiehlt uns weiter ihre besten Bücher, was wir denn so nach Obsidian
genau, was müssen wir unbedingt lesen?
Genau, also schreibt uns auf Facebook am besten, da erreicht man uns.
Und wir wünschen euch noch einen wundervollen Tag, Abend, Stunden, Mittag, was auch immer. Und wir sehen uns dann beim nächsten Mal.
Schönes Weiterlaufen, wenn ihr gerade lauft. Jo, tschüss.
Tschüss.